You seen that Lily Phillips documentary?
A better you starts today.
I think there's something in it for you. If you stick around here, I'm just going to try and explain why this is very important to you. That documentary really unveiled something about the human psyche, and it's deep, and it's dark and twisted. And also, it can be really helpful and fun. Ta-da! Everyone's happy. Anyway, saw the documentary. Really well done. Got to say that guy is a talented documentary maker. And you can tell, extremely emotionally intelligent guy. You know, I mean, he wasn't one of the 100 in there saying like, can I make my friends watch? Or you get the decorum not to do that. So anyway, the point is that he seems to be on a different level. Good for him. And also, he's the only guy in it that seems to get any money out of it. So that's even smarter. Anyway, that documentary was powerful. Don't you think? I mean, there's a reason the entire internet's talking about it. How often is something like that released? I would say once every 6 months. YouTube's actually, they're good at bagging it out. This one really narrowed in on something. I think that everybody is talking about the same thing. What is it? You can write your comment down below right now. Pop quiz. Yeah, it's her crying at the end. Obviously that's going to be the part of her. And then him saying, are you crying because of the 100 guys, or are you crying because you had sex with 100 guys? No, I'm sad that I only had 5 minutes with all of them. That's all. Sure it is. Look, good on her. First off, I think that if you are an OnlyFans star, look, if you're making that kind of money, it's a lot more than working at Supre, isn't it? I think that there's a lot of people that do go into OnlyFans and only make as much money as they would in Supre, and I think that's probably not a great investment. But if you are making that level of money, it's kind of like being a drug dealer, right? Like, it's just like, go hard. Go. I am El Chapo hard, you know? She's the El Chapo of cock. Good on her. That was awesome. Like, seriously, doing 100 guys in and then getting that much money for it, it's incredible business maneuvering. It's a very good, like, it's very Mr. Beastie, you know? Just like, I fucked 100 guys in a day. And then moving on to the 1,000. That's all, like, I seriously do not have a single problem with it at all. I mean, there is much, much, much worse things that you could be doing with your life. Like, most people watching this right now, you probably work for a mining company or something, you know? Like, she's just getting drilled in another way. And so I think that, you know, obviously there is always going to be the people sitting there saying, like, let's just talk about the ethical issues of this. Or, like, she's just going to live with shame for the rest of her life. I don't necessarily think that that's what it is. It's more a commentary of immediately after crying and saying, you know, I'm just sad about the part. After that, it was announced, not immediately after, sorry, that's just my head being like, but there was a jump cut in the documentary, so that happened immediately. But after that, she announces that she's going to try and fuck 1,000 guys in a day. I don't know where she's going to find the time for that. What did she start at like 8 a.m. and finish at 10? That's a full day. I don't know, yeah, you're not chock full, you're cock full, right? Like, where are you going to get the other 900 guys? I know that you can probably just get it down to like 20 seconds, but time spans quickly. But it's a noble goal, a great aspiration to go forward. But my question is, when it comes to these things, yeah, I think that the reason that she's going for the 1,000, you would probably say it's because of business. Yeah, like there's a lot of money in that because think of all the headlines that it's grabbed right now, right? Like, why am I talking about it right now? Because it's a headline, but also because the documentary and afterwards, like, I've just got to share with people. So there was a bit of that as well. But anyway, yeah, it grabs massive headlines. Very good for business. Means she's going to be making a lot more. But let's be honest, after the 100 cocks, surely she could retire at 23. She could probably buy a pretty sick house in the Canadian woods or wherever the hell she wanted to live for the rest of her life and probably just live a really decent life without ever having to lift a finger again. And honestly, again, I think she's earned it. Yeah, I think she's honestly earned it. So, fair enough. You could never do anything ever again. Like, you do have probably, I don't know her financial situation, but I'm pretty sure that she's not in one of those YouTube pimp situations. I think that she's probably getting all of that money herself, and then there's probably a team that gets a bit of it. She could stop now, forever, and probably just fade into obscurity. Why is she moving on to the 1,000? Now, obviously, I've never met her in my life, so I'm completely guessing. And the only reason that I am guessing is because I just know there was this great book about celebrity psychology that I can't even remember the name of, but it was by some TV doctor years ago. Anyway, I remember reading it, and I was thinking, oh my God, that's me. Because in case you don't know, this is my second channel. I've got a bigger channel over there, and pretty famous for one thing, like this woman is. And you'll notice that in the internet age especially, you're always just famous for one thing. Or in her case, 100, but they all massed into one situation, yeah? And that's what the human brain wants to do. It wants to shorten everyone. Your mum, your dad, they're obviously going to be a little more rounded than Phillips is, but, like a Phillips head screwdriver, there's only going to be a few points there. There are always, like if you think about it, you're just going to think like, my mum was good to me. I remember my mum taking us to the park. I got to buy her a present for Christmas. There's like a few basic thoughts that are going to ride around in your head. What does this boil down to? Well, it's the whole theory of there being 150 people in a tribe. After that, your brain just starts going haywire. And in the modern age, especially because most people don't know 150 people anymore, most people know 5, and one of them is your mum, so 4. So, and one of them's your dad, probably 3. Fuck. And you probably got 2 siblings. You probably got 1 friend. What? And so you need those filled in your head because that's usually the number where things start going haywire after that. Kind of the human brain is designed to know about 150 people and it makes shortcuts about those people. And so you have like the baker of the tribe and you have the guy that goes out and hunts of the tribe. And you make those little shortcuts in your head so you can think, yeah, okay, that's all done, on with my life. That's all there, yeah? This is what happens in fame. So with Beyonce, you might just know her as just like, oh, the single ladies, and that's pretty much it, yeah? She would probably be known a little bit more, but especially in the internet age where everyone's just like grabbing little pieces of attention on everybody and just being like, so it just really just goes down to a YouTube thumb. That's the entire identity. For the rest of her life, that's what she's going to be known as. I fucked 100 guys in a day. And I'm not even saying this is like a thing of just like, shame on you. Because the thing, look, no, I don't even think it's like a shameful act. It's not that. It's just that that is what she's going to be known as. You could replace it with anything. You could replace it with Rebecca Black. Recently, I was just watching a interview of Rebecca Black, and you could see the pain in her anytime someone brings up, so what's with the Friday thing? She's an old woman now. I saw Rebecca Black again, and I was, unless it said Rebecca Black in the title, I wouldn't know that it's her. She is a completely different person. And yet everywhere that she goes ever, when she's introduced as a DJ now, because that's mostly what she does dance music and DJing, apparently. Anyway, every time she's introduced for that, it's the chick from Friday, raise your hands. And then everybody ironically, yeah, you're awesome, it's Friday. And she just has to deal with that shit for the rest of her life. A lot of the time, when you do get fame, it's kind of just impressed upon you. With mine, for instance, I will always be monikered as. This happens to me every time I ever leave my house. What happened to your firebomb? That was like a year ago. More. Like 2 years ago, I think. I don't know how time works. I'm very sweaty at the moment. I feel like I am being firebombed. It's in Australia in the middle of summer. It was less hot that day. You're the firebomb guy. Didn't you firebomb? What happened to your house? And they don't really even want to know the answer. They just, you firebomb. And then they move on with their life because they're just verbalizing what their brain does when they see a familiar face. It's just, they're basically just saying, you're the baker of the tribe. The baker. Then there's the next layer of that after that, which is usually like, you're the guy to go after corruption. Now, what happens when you don't fit in to this now this is very important to you as well because this is definitely happening at your work, this is happening at family. It's like roles. It's the roles that you are taking. But it's just easier to talk about this when you're talking about somebody that everybody knows in terms of fame, right? So anyway, like when it comes to Rebecca Black, or it comes to like, I'll talk with my lived experience for a second so I can just finish this point. So the other thing that people always come up to me and say is like, you're the guy that go after corruption. And nowadays, after nearly dying, nearly getting bankrupted on many an occasion, having like the secret police of New South Wales just surveil us for like a year straight, after going through hell to remove a government that was objectively, really, as in we could prove it, really corrupt. Was proven in ICAC, corrupt. Now they just say, go do it again. Get your house firebomb again. But this government isn't corrupt. It is corrupt. You are just hiding for them. Shill. And it's like, okay, present the information. Some of them get consulting jobs after being in government. That's why they're corrupt. What are we talking about here? You know, you were talking about a government that was openly bragging about using hundreds of millions of dollars of your money while in office to get themselves re-elected. You understand? Like, that is very, 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 very different. And then you just have to go to like these very small, minute lengths to keep the image in your head, again, because this is just like a meme that takes over. It's just like, all politicians are corrupt. Anybody that's ever in power ever is just in it for themselves. And what is that? Why is that the case? It's very similar with the Rebecca Black thing. It's very similar to why this is attached to me. It's very similar to why the 100 Cocks is attached to her. Why is it that it's these specific events that get attached to them? Politicians, every time, they just make this little shortcut in their head. They're in public service. You know, I'm just going to ignore all the things that they do on a daily basis to make sure that the water's running, to make sure that the electricity keeps going. They're corrupt without any evidence. You're corrupt, right? Like, that's how the human brain wants to work. Making shortcuts, and it wants to make negative shortcuts. And so, really, when we think about it, fame and prominence, people are attracted to, and this is dark, they are attracted to a dark entity. This is why in the modern age, the more famous you are, you're usually more famous for doing things that are sort of like not extremely terrible, although you can be, you know, like you can be very easily famous for being a murderer, but generally it's something quite dark. It's like beating the shit out of another celebrity because everyone wants to see that celebrity get beaten up. Or when it comes to like Rebecca Black, why is everybody like, she's the Rebecca Black guy? You heard it here first. They're saying, like, you know, I remember laughing at you as a teenager. Keep being that teenager for me to laugh at. It's fine. Like, I do exactly the same thing. We all do it, you know? With her, you fucked 100 men in a day. Fuck. Now, that one was obviously, like, put on her by herself, so she chose that one, so good for her, right? But generally, the thing that you are really, especially in the modern age, is just like, you are usually remembered for something negative. Even with me, that seems noble. What is it? People are just generally, they like it because it kind of like affirms in their head their little quick short meme of being like, everyone in government ever is corrupt. Here's living proof of it. He got firebombed. So it's still just something that's negative there, that's like holding it on. And so this is why you see someone like Rebecca Black, or when someone comes up to me and says like, firebomb. Yeah, you know, like, because the thing is, human beings are obviously extremely multi-layered. They've got a bunch of things going on in their life, and they want not to be remembered for that one thing. But here's the other thing. Fame and your identity, this is where it comes back to you. Your identity is always going to be linked to that thing that you're known for. And so you will keep reinforcing that in people's mind by acting in that way. So Rebecca Black obviously has had to utilize the fact that she is that to try and move herself into her new career, right? And just come to peace with the term that it's always just going to be a billboard of her in Friday that comes out on the LED screen while she's doing a DJ set being like, remember this? Like, it's so evil, isn't it? Like, that is going to be there forever. With her, for instance, it's going to be, you're the 100 Cocks chick. But here's the thing. You want to remain in the identity that everybody has just allotted you. So I think on a much deeper level, maybe she's doing it for business. Maybe she genuinely does like having sex with 1,000 guys in a day. Who knows? But I can guarantee you this. There's some part of her that wants to keep reinforcing that identity because it has been set. So there is this weird thing that happens in fame where you start becoming the caricature of yourself until you get to that point where people look at you and think, what happened to that guy? What the hell? He's a pastiche of himself. A very good example of this, my producer was just talking about this recently. He went to the Wolfmother concert. Now, Wolfmother have released, I don't know, like 20 albums since. Tell me about the story of the Joker and the Thief. That song, right? Anyway, they do a bunch of songs. He's sitting there and he's saying, yeah, okay, they've got some new stuff that I wasn't that into. But they also have a bunch of bangers that I've never heard in my life. And the audience doesn't care. They don't care about any of these songs. After every song that they do, they just start chanting, Joker, 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 Joker. They're trapped in that identity forever if they allow it. Now, here's the big rub. If they allow it. So, she's obviously decided to blow that identity up. There's good business sense in it. Maybe she even likes that identity of it. Who knows? But what I'm saying is, you, in your personal life, as the little mini celebrity that you are in whatever field you're in, maybe there are some big YouTubers that are watching this now, I don't know. But I do know that, like, you, for instance, if you just aren't famous, you're not interested in it, there is still that is pushing you. Even when you are in like a family dynamic, maybe your mum and your dad kind of knew you as the fun one of the family. So when you go to Christmas, there is going to be pressure there for you to sit there and be the fun one. And then there's going to be another one where you walk in. Let's just say you're in work and you're known as the peacemaker. That, you know, when office politics is going around, you're above it. So you always have to move in there and make sure that everyone's at peace. There is always going to be this role that you are put into. You know the whole phrase from Shakespeare that all the world's a stage, the men and women merely actors? There is a lot of truth to that. There is a lot of truth to that. And so I think that that's the whole thing, is that, like, just know that maybe, just maybe, the role that you have, you've outgrown. Maybe the role that you have, you don't like. And the thing is, this is the way to get past this. It's actually a biblical quote of, like, be in the world, but not of the world. So you can sit there. So the way that I always deal with it now is when people just come up to me and they're like, you're the firebombing guy. I'm just like, yeah, that's fine. But, like, there was always this urge, there's this simultaneous urge in the human mind to sit there and just be like, I've done other things like that. And then there's also a thing of just like, you didn't acknowledge how painful and big of a deal it was. Like, there's both of those things that are firing off at the same time. But if you kind of just remove yourself and you understand that everybody just does try and label those things, like, very quickly so that they can just move on with their life, and that, like, none of this is actually a big deal in anyone's head, really. Like, they're just using that to shortcut it. So if you don't like the idea of being the peacemaker of the office, if you want to be some anarchist or something, I don't know why I'm using that as an example. Like, I don't want you to get fired, and I think that being a peacemaker is probably a good role, but just theoretically, you didn't like it. If you didn't like it, guess what? You can just sit there and kind of just accept the label, but just kind of just be like, that's not me, and move on. That is a secure person, because otherwise, you will feel yourself subconsciously trying to do little things to keep that there. And it's like that dichotomy of being in the tribe, of just being like, I am the baker. I'm kind of like, I'm useful to the tribe because I'm baking. Once you get out of that frame, and you realize, like, it's actually, the phrase in self-help is leaving the tribe. Isn't that profound? When you get out of that and you realize, oh, there's a big wide world out there. I don't need to do this anymore. Feel the liberation. Feel sort of like how your entire being just morphs again. It's all just like constantly trying to be compressed into this thing of just being like, yeah, I'm the fun one of the parties, you know, I'm the fun one. And then as soon as you just like, I'm a lot of things. See the difference. Now, anyway, if you liked that, I think that you should sign up to this channel. And by sign up, I mean that you can join the Patreon. And I think that you would be absolutely foolish not to, because it's just the cheapest life coach that you'll ever get in your life. Obviously, you can cancel any time. It's Patreon, you know? But the thing is that, like, you know, for the price of a chocolate bar, you get somebody who is just constantly sitting there and telling you over and over again in videos, let's do something with your day. Hey, this is how you be more effective in your life. There are all these little tips and tricks, right? That even if you start implementing a couple of them, that trajectory of your life, you'll see that you start changing it massively. That's what I think this channel does. The free stuff here, you can do that. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel, because there is a bunch of stuff that we're constantly talking about on this channel that is absolutely going to improve your life. Absolutely, massively, right? And here's the thing, in the proven non-bullshit way, when I'm always just like, people are just like, you could be a millionaire. I'm talking, yes, you can be, but let's talk about like moving your little being into the person, like slowly morphing it into that that is going to be like the kind of character that is going to get you to that goal, whatever it is. And part of it is what we're talking about here right now, which is that like you might want to be doing other things in life, but there is an identity there that is keeping you where you are. We've got tips and tricks that are able to just unstick that. It's a really good channel. I think that you should sign up.